Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. We welcome you to the April meeting of the Post Falls Urban Renewal Commission. It is April 21st, 2022. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I'd like roll call, please. Director John?
Baltzell?
Here.
Davis?
Here.
Crosby?
Here.
Clemenson?
Here.
Fleshman?
Here.
Sheltonus?
Here.
Coles?
Here.
Okay, and we do have a quorum. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Len Crosby.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Just work down the agenda today. Kind of a busy one, but I think we'll get through it in good time. Ceremonies, appointments, and announcements. I'm not aware of anything in those categories at this time. Anybody else?
No, sir.
Okay. Conflict disclosures. Do any of the commissioners have anything that they're in conflict with that is on the agenda for today's meeting?
No.
That they want to disclose? Okay.
No.
Who said that?
Eric. It was Eric.
Oh, thanks, Eric.
The voice.
The ghost is here too. Okay, very good. Consent calendar. Director John, please.
Good morning, Chairman Baltzell and Commissioners. Item A in the consent calendar is the Commission meeting minutes, March 17th, 2022. Item B is the Finance and Policy Committee meeting minutes, March 17th, 2022. Item C is the Commission workshop minutes of April 12th, 2022. Item D is the payables for this month totaling $6,341.77. Item E is the bank activity report, which shows total funds in all accounts of $2,903,973.42 and accrued interest for the month of $487.48. Item F is the financial reports as of March 31st, 2022. Approval of the consent calendar will authorize a transfer of $6,341.77 to the First Interstate checking account for the monthly payables and $487.48 accrued interest to the general fund. Mr. Chairman, I would answer any questions.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments regarding the consent calendar? If not, I would like to
Move to
accept.
approve the consent calendar.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Baltzell?
Aye.
Crosby?
Aye.
Clemenson?
Aye.
Fleshman?
Aye.
Sheltonus?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Coles?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you very much. Committee updates, Finance and Policy, Commissioner Crosby.
We reviewed the financial statement that you've just approved, and we also reviewed some projections for income in the East Post Falls District and discussed a policy issue that was presented in our workshop earlier this month.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on finance and policy? Okay, district review, Commissioner Coles.
I have nothing this morning.
Okay, communications, property, and personnel, Commissioner Davis.
We have nothing today.
Okay, very good. Citizen comments. Do we have any citizens out there in the audience that have comments they'd like to make to the group today? I think mostly staff, so thank you very much. We'll move on to unfinished business. Number A, Resolution 2022-01, a recommendation to terminate Expo Urban Renewal District Plan.
Chairman, Commissioners, this resolution is the recommendation to terminate Expo Urban Renewal District Plan as required by Idaho Code. Previously, the closing budget for the Expo Urban Renewal District was presented as Resolution 2021-04 and approved at the September 16th, 2021 Commission meeting. This is simply the next step in the Expo District closure process. If approved, the resolution will be forwarded to the City of Post Falls for use in an ordinance to adopt the commission resolution to close the district.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or concerns regarding that resolution?
Just one clarification, I think the city council actually has to adopt its own resolution terminating the district. Is that accurate?
Actually, it's an ordinance, right?
It's an ordinance, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is a resolution asking them to adopt that ordinance.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good, thanks. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, if not, I'd accept
Move to approve resolution 2022-1
Okay,
to terminate the Expo district plan.
good. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and second. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Baltzell,
Aye.
Crosby,
Aye.
Clemenson,
Aye.
Fleshman,
Aye.
Jeltnes,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Coles.
Aye.
Okay, and motion carried. The next unfinished business is Policy 28, Proponent Financing Cost Reimbursement. It's a new policy that's been developed in coordination with the city and the Finance Committee. Would you like to make comments on that?
Please. Chairman, Commissioners, this new policy provides for the possible reimbursement of proponent developer financing costs as specified within the policy. This policy was previously considered at the April 12th, 2022 Commission workshop.
Okay, any further questions? I think all the commissioners have had a chance to review that and understand how that's come together. And I think that's especially in this day and age of uncertainty and with financing costs potentially rising and so on, I think that that's probably a good move, which is probably why we had an original one to help make things work better a number of years ago. Okay, no other questions or concerns about that? I would accept a motion to approve.
Chairman, I would move the adoption of policy 28.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second, okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that? If not, roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chairman.
Roll call vote.
Baltzell,
Aye.
Crosby,
Aye.
Fleshman,
Aye.
Jeltnes,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Coles,
Aye.
Clemenson.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Motion carried. Okay, thank you. Now, new business, East Post Falls District. There is a request or a review of the update on the intersection projects and potentially concerns about additional funding. So who's going to lead? You're leading.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members
Good
of the
morning.
commission. Robert Paulus, Assistant City Engineer for the City of Post Falls. Back in the earlier part of this month, on April 8th, the City of Post Falls went out to bid on the Mullan Avenue and Cecil Road Access Safety Project and the Poleline Avenue and Cecil Road Roundabout Project. Both projects are projects that you have been sponsoring through this date. Today I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on the numbers that we got from the construction bidding and be making a request for additional funding towards both of those projects. As you will recall, the Mullan Avenue and Cecil Road Access Safety Project, this is making turn restrictions over at the Walmart. This is a project that was a concern of the Post Falls Police Department due to the safety going on at that location and has historically been one of our top 10 collision locations in the city. The Poleline Avenue and Cecil Road Roundabout would construct a roundabout at Cecil and Poleline Avenue, which is next to the high school. This is a location that has significant traffic increases, and over the past 2 years, we have seen the collision numbers increasing significantly. We do see this as a project which has great benefit to the school and safety for pedestrians, bicyclists, and vehicles. Originally in our agreement, we had the two projects split out where the Urban Renewal Agency was going to fund up to $1.3 million on the Poleline Cecil Roundabout and $110,000 towards the Mullan and Cecil Access Safety. nearly a year ago when we started this, we thought these numbers would be significant to handle both projects. We have been seeing huge increases in costs of construction in the area. We've had discussions with the Idaho Transportation Department and the city of Coeur d'Alene, and the numbers we're seeing are indicative of the entire region right now. Earlier this year, we reached a amendment to our agreement with you to combine the two projects into a max not to exceed $1.41 million towards the two projects. When we bid out the projects, and I will go into more detail, and I did provide you copies of this PowerPoint presentation so that you can follow along, hopefully a little bit better and better help any conversations that we have and questions that you have. When we take the Mullan and Cecil project, which is 100% urban renewal funding, and then we took the Poleline and Cecil project and only took those parts which were in the urban renewal district and eligible for funding, the estimated amount was $2.17 million towards construction, engineering, and engineering management. That difference is $760,000 or $760,182.38. That's the amount that we would request additional funding if you can make that possible. Digging into the numbers a little bit, looking at the Poleline and Cecil roundabout first, and again, acknowledging that we combined the dollars in order to better illustrate how much the overage was on this project, I went back to the original $1.3 million. So far in design, actually, we completed design, so we have spent $180,486.60 on that. Of that, about $45,000 was paid for by the city for portions which were outside of the urban renewal district. The bid for construction came in at $2.189 million, of which $101.73 million was in the urban renewal district area, and then the remainder was either in the city or the Ross Point Water District addition, which they need to replace one of their existing water lines. That is in the urban renewal district area, but we are not seeking money on that, and Ross Point Water is handling the cost of the replacement of their water line. Rights of way and easement, we have about $36,000 of rights of way and easement that we needed to acquire from the church in the northeast corner, the currently undeveloped property in the northwest corner, and the school district. Per our original agreement, right-of-way costs were not eligible for reimbursement, so that's 100% by the city. And then we have the construction management costs, which were agreed to earlier on, and out of the $83,000, about $68,000 of it is in the Urban Renewal Agency, and the remainder is the city's responsibility. So for this portion itself, we saw an overage from the initial $1.3 million of $631,576.47. Any particular questions on this one? This is the more complex out of the two projects because of the numerous funding sources.
I do. Rob, who is doing the construction management?
Construction management is being done by JUB Engineers.
Third-party engineering firm?
Yes.
Thank you. And the Ross Point is donating $197,355 toward the cost of whatever,
Yes. So
relocating water lines or something?
yes, as we were well into the design, Ross Point Water realized that their water line is an old AC pipe, and one needed to be updated because of some concerns with the structural stability of those older AC pipes. And so they had their engineer design their pipe. We incorporated it into our construction plans, and that we have a signed agreement with them that we'll be bringing before City Council at their next meeting, where Ross Point agrees to reimburse the city that $197,355 for construction. Ross Point Water is not covered under JUB's construction management. Ross Point Water has their own engineer, Whipple Engineering, who will be inspecting their water line as it is replaced.
What is AC water line?
Asbestos
Asbestos
concrete.
concrete? Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Sorry about that.
Nope, that's all right. Thank you.
Any other questions on the roundabout?
I do have a question. So if urban renewal were to make up the difference, what is the overage that the city would be paying?
The city's portion is $557,836.92.
Okay, thank you.
So the 1,931,000 is, part of that was the original 1,410,000, correct?
Yeah, that 1.9 million is everything that's in the urban renewal district boundary that's eligible for reimbursement. So I took that amount, subtracted the 1.3 million that you originally said you were gonna give towards that project, and that came up with that difference.
Okay, thank you.
And just so that you're aware, we have copies of all of the rights-of-way on the north side. We've had them for a couple weeks. We'll take them to city council at their next meeting. And this morning, I was informed by the school district that they signed their paperwork this morning, so I'll be picking that up later today. So everything is, from that standpoint, is taken care of or coming together.
Rob, I have a question.
Yes.
At Cecil and Poleline, on the southeast corner
Uh-huh.
of that street, there's a house right there on the corner.
That has that fence.
Is that's part of your easement right away?
So that one, we did not need to purchase a physical easement. All of our work is outside of their property line. However, we did need to make some modifications to their driveway. And what we did was we entered into a temporary construction easement. So in exchange for us to rebuild his driveway, he's letting us go onto his property and make some modifications. And in doing that, we're actually giving him a little bit of a looped driveway to try to make it safer and more accessible for him to get in and out. He's been a really good gentleman to work with so far.
Thank you.
Rob,
Yes, Mr.
on
Knowles.
the cost increases, was it across the board roughly the same amounts, or were there some items that were?
Asphalt and concrete, which is a
Okay.
big portion of any of these projects, is the main driver that we're seeing. Last year, we were still paying between $65 to $75 a ton for asphalt. This project, we're at $135 a ton. The city of Coeur d'Alene recently started a project on Kathleen over by the Super One Foods in Coeur d'Alene. They were paying $145 a ton. We've seen other prices up as high as $150 a ton, some a little bit lower than what we've paid, but not very much. Asphalt's the big one that I'm most aware of. Concrete costs, it depends upon which item it is, but we see sidewalk, curb and gutter, all of them across the board are 30% or more higher in costs. Okay.
And the overall bids came in about 53.9% over what your projected
Yeah.
cost? And that's consistent with,
That-
based on what you've talked to ITD about and City of Coeur d'Alene and
It's
others?
consistent what we've been seeing, and 2 months ago, we opened up a bid on Prairie and Spokane Street, and we had similar issues with very large cost increases.
In your professional expertise, do you see this as more of a spike in increased costs, or is it becoming more of a trend for the projects in the future? That's a guess. I know.
Well, that's a huge guess, and I don't know which way it's going. One, I'm not an economist, so I don't get into those details and try to analyze from that point. My best reflection is to go back into 2007, 2008 timeframe, when we were on a peak of growth and we saw prices go up significantly. And then we had a huge downturn in the market. And when that market dropped, we saw prices go down, but they didn't go down very much. But they stayed level for quite a while. Now we've gotten back into growth spurt. It seems for me, kind of difficult seeing how much they've spiked recently, but based upon my past experience, and granted, that's only 20 years, plus or minus, I have not seen costs ever drop in a huge amount in construction dollars.
I think it's Economics 101, supply and demand.
Yeah. All right, moving on to Mullan Avenue. Mullan Avenue, original URA funding was $110,000. We've spent just under $37,000 for design. Construction came in at $170,000. I put in there a 10% contingency amount since we don't have any other funding sources on that project. There were no rights-of-way and easements, and construction management was $14,865, bringing the total for that project at just under $240,000, roughly again in that 50% range or double, with an overage of $128,605.91. Any questions on this one? Yes.
Can you explain to me the difference between the construction management on these two different projects and why is there such a different cost?
A lot of that deals with the complexity of the project. The Mullan and Cecil Access project, we've got 15,000. The construction window for that is just over a month. It needs to be done by late July. And for the most part, the contractor can do the work out there, and we don't need to have a full-time inspector on the site. Whereas, I'm going to go back a slide, on the roundabout, we're at 84,000. There's a lot more work in keeping track of all the concrete, the asphalt, storm sewer going in, and managing all of that, making sure it's built correctly.
Okay, thank you.
Historically, we'll do construction management when we estimate as a percentage of what the estimated cost of the project is, and usually for city projects that will be around 15%. If it was a state-funded grant project, you'd see the engineering management more around 20% of the project cost. So going back, if I take those $2 values that we had at the bottom of the overages, add them together, that comes up with the $760,182.38 that we are requesting additional funding of.
One other question. We've seen a lot of you about this project, not that we don't enjoy seeing you, but would this be the last bite of the apple?
This would be the last bite of the apple from the city to you on this, yes.
Based on the fact that you have firm bids that you...
Based on the fact that we have firm bids, we do, in the one for, whoops, don't need that. In the one for Mullan Cecil, we did put a 10% contingency in there. In the Poleline Cecil, we don't show a contingency in there, but the contingency amount in that we are looking at as part of the city's share of the costs in that project. On both of these, we put contingencies in there for the unknowns, recognizing that we do have higher costs than we've historically seen. The burden is on me, so to speak, or the push is to try to keep the change orders to a minimum on these projects and try to get them as close to the bid amounts as possible.
Did the bids have any contingency items? The bids themselves, what came in from La Riviere?
So when the only contingency items in there is how the engineer themselves, when they put together the estimate, they want to be close, but there's a little bit of, you account for some waste of asphalt and concrete, and there's different amounts used for different products.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Joe. Joe, based on our most recent projections, does it appear, and we're only projecting levy rates, and those are unknown in the future, but does it appear that we could actually come up with the funds prior to the close of the district to accommodate this request?
Yes, at the present time, our projections in the East Post Falls Urban Renewal District is that there's approximately $1.5 million of anticipated excess increment.
Thank you.
And that's over and above the original bids that we're
All
considering.
the other obligations we have.
That's over and above all current obligations, correct?
Okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, this is a safety issue. It gets to traffic infrastructure, all of which is part of the plan. So I would move with, that we accept and authorize council and the executive director to increase our contribution to these two projects, with the two caveats being, one, that the increment, we don't see a dramatic decline in the increment, which, obviously would restrict the funding that we have available, and that depends on each levy rate from each taxing entity, and that the city is continuing aware and acknowledges the fact that we have a timing issue. We have to close this district within a specific period of time, and once we close the district, we can't disperse further increment. So, with those two caveats, I would move that we authorize the modification of the MOU to accommodate this additional cost increase.
On each one,
Yes, sir.
on each one.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. I have a, excuse me, a question before we vote, and that is, timing-wise of the projects, realizing we have a time frame this year that we need to get them done, what is your timeline for completion of both of these projects?
Mullan and Cecil is scheduled for completion by July 28th. And Poleline and Cecil is scheduled for substantial completion by August 24th.
Okay, I totally agree with what Commissioner Crosby has said about these areas. I think I've been one of the ones that have been yelling and screaming about them for a while, because I go through that area a lot. Up on Cecil and Poleline, there's probably 2 or 3 times during the day when it's pretty scary just to watch the traffic go and the kids coming and going. And the rest of the time it's pretty quiet, but that's when you're gonna really need to have the safety concerns. And it's really, both of them are significant safety concerns that, as long as we can help with it, I think we should. So I don't have any other questions. Anybody else have comments or questions?
My only other comment is the city has to understand that beyond the construction, we need the city finance people to provide us with documentation. We need the city to confirm that they've accepted the improvements. Those kinds of things. We want to have all of the acknowledgements, documentation, certifications, all in line so that we can make the payment prior to the expiration of the district.
We'll be able to provide you the copies of the bills that we have paid up through the August 24th.
Thank you. Perfect.
I have a question, just out of curiosity, are they gonna do both these constructions during the same time period? I know that the completion date is different, but they're gonna do them simultaneously? So we're gonna have all that construction going on right on Cecil?
So the stuff in front of Walmart is not directly on Cecil.
Yeah, I understand.
And that can be done with, I don't see these two projects as overlapping each other as far as conflicts. I think we're going to be dealing more with issues as traffic gets rerouted from piece to piece with the Highway 41 construction that continues to go on through the summer. And right now, the estimate is for the Highway 41 I-90 interchange to start construction in July or August of this year. We've got a lot of construction going around town, and we're going to try to manage moving people around. Mullan will be able to keep access going to the store. We won't be closing Mullan down at all. Poleline and Cecil, we're going to have to close the intersection except for the people who live and are immediately affected. So we'll be utilizing alternate routes up there.
Are you starting Cecil and Mullan first? And then, or are you gonna start them both at the same time?
We're gonna have to talk with the contractor once the award is given, to find out their schedule as to when they can mobilize. We do know that La Riviere, who is the bidder on this, they are doing the Prairie and Spokane Street project for this city. They're right now working on the Idaho and Prairie roundabout, and so they're moving crews around, but they said that they can get both of these done.
Okay.
To me, the most critical of these two is getting the roundabout started as soon as school is done for the year, because it is a tight window and we're pushing them hard to get it done by the August 24th date.
Good question.
If you don't have any other questions for me, I do appreciate your consideration and time this morning and looking at financing additionally these projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob, for bringing this to us. Any other questions or concerns while he's here? If not, we do have a motion that's been seconded. If there are no other questions or comments, roll call vote, please.
Baltzell,
Aye, here. Aye.
Crosby,
Aye.
Fleshman,
Aye.
Jeltness,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Coles,
Aye.
Clemenson.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Motion carried, motion approved. Okay, next item under new business is the downtown district update with the water tower lofts.
Commissioners, I invited representatives of the Water Tower Lofts project to come in and give a presentation of updated project costs in light of our upcoming workshop, but apparently they're not present, so we won't
They are
receive
not.
that today. I'll look to gather that information and provide that to you prior to the workshop, upcoming workshop.
Okay. Okay. All righty, moving along really well. Staff report and updates.
Chairman, Commissioners. In the East Post Falls Technology District area, the paving as part of Highway 41 project is expected to begin late this month, April. And if you drive through that area, you'll see that curb and gutter work is in process at the Highway 41 Prairie intersection. Progress is coming along quickly. In the East Post Falls Tullamore District, staff, myself, met with Bill Melvin and James Spalsbury of the city's engineering department on Tuesday, and I received an update on the infrastructure punch lists being sent to Copper Basin Construction in regards to the final Tullamore submittal pertaining to the Hope Avenue, Bogey Drive, and Killdeer Avenue installation. In the downtown district, I was informed by Bill Melvin that work is commencing on the city's water tower parking lot. This parking lot is designed to provide 40 parking spaces and will include a pocket park around the base of the water tower. And just a final reminder that we do have a commission workshop scheduled for Tuesday, May 10th to review the updated cost pricing information on millworks and water tower lofts projects in the downtown district for the purpose of moving into the OPA process with both developers respectively. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments from anybody? Good job. You've had a lot on your plate the last few months, and we appreciate the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioner comments. Any other comments from the commissioners?
I just want to say I appreciate the consistent communication we've received from the city with regard to the improvements that we just discussed in East Post Falls. They've been very good about coming back and including us in their process and acknowledging that, we need to take a look at the cost impact of what's going on in our economy. So I appreciate that.
Good. Thank you. I concur with that 100%. Anybody else? Commissioner Coles?
What's the time of our workshop on the 10th?
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Nine.
I will not be able to attend that. Yeah.
Okay.
I can call in if I need to, but I will be out of town.
I think, will it be on Zoom?
We can provide for the call-in ability. It's just a matter of if it works out. We do have attendance. We didn't have any one particular date and time in which everybody could attend.
Correct,
It
yeah.
was, get the most of you.
I would just encourage,
Do girls out?
if you can,
Okay.
to listen in on it, because those are two projects that are on the burner and they're getting ready to be to be going forward, and it's, but if you can't, we all have those issues from time to time, so that's why we have 7 of us here, and that's, rolls along pretty good, so your call on that, but just let Director Johns know what your
Okay.
ability is there. Any other?
My other question for our council and for Joe is, now that we passed Policy 28, how are we going to communicate that to our proponents, and particularly the proponent that we're working with in Pleasant View?
We discussed that before the meeting, and the executive director is gonna send the policy to the Project Drive representatives and their council. We'll also send it to Beyond Green, and they can forward it to the successor in interest, if there is one by now, out at the Tech Park, and then plus the developers here in the downtown district.
Perfect. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Good question, too. Okay, anybody else? Otherwise, it looks like it's chairman comments, and I just want to thank you for hanging in there and doing your job as if I wasn't here when I wasn't here, especially Jamie and filling in for me, and Len keeping things together, and our executive director as well. So sometimes we all need to have help in backup or whatever, and this commission, I think, has done a phenomenal job in the last 12 years I've been involved. I think it's 12, 14, I don't know. From time to time, when we've had people with either health issues or we've lost some people, and it's always worked out and stayed going flow smoothly. And a lot of it has to do with our support staff, our attorney, and our executive director, and so I appreciate that, but it really takes everybody here working together, and also the city's patience with us, and we appreciate that very much. So that's all I have. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Thanks, Eric. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.